Wow.
Wow, this is some really deep stuff.
I don't know what just happened, but something happened inside of me. Something snapped, something clicked.
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's all right. It's beautiful.
Monster is like really small, but it had to become that to stop me.
And then the hurt child became present when you mentioned it.
And I didn't realize this until now.
There were things that I didn't remember until now.
Funny, I haven't seen that before.
It feels like I'm the monster. I'm kind of seeing images of things. Of a world where they can exist. This clarity brings all kinds of answers.
It's clear. She hugged me and then went back to her place, I guess, in my heart. Oh, it wants to come out. It wants to bippity boppity boop Cinderella me. She's melted into my chest. It's ooey gooey.
All week been finishing things, cleaning up more, started eating vegetables again last week. And it kind of just started happening. It's almost like I just finished going through a meditation session.
I feel light. When you hit that first joint, in the morning, and
I actually feel a lot more awake.
So, do you know where you'd like to start? Or is it following up on the stuff we talked about last time?
I guess, since I just got this big spike in emotions, it's kind of hard for me not to start there. It feels so immediate.
Sure.
So, there's obviously some pride there. There's some achiever parts. I definitely feel a sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
There's also a critic that he's already gearing up. That feeling of responsibility. You really ready for this type thing?
Mm-hmm.
This will be my first time moving, and I'm going to be a supervisor. I'm going to be a quality supervisor, a quality assurance supervisor. So this is going to be my first time being in any sort of leadership position like that.
Yeah.
And I can already feel the critic that is lobbing those very par for the course kind of worries at me. Will people listen to you? That type of thing.
Yeah. And thinking that you're not ready for it.
Yeah. Kind of the reasons I would list, but I'm not worried for it, or just come into my mind as we talk about it right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you said about people not listening to you.
Yeah, that critical is reminding me how young I am.
Mm-hmm.
Even feelings around my ethnicity coming up.
Mm-hmm. And, just to point out, that message was what we were talking about last time too, maybe slightly different, but the idea of people not listening to you was kind of a big protective part.
Yeah.
In a way, it's like people misconstruing what you were saying.
Yeah, that's definitely true. Yeah, I can feel like that polarization between even that explaining part that we spent time with last time and the critical part, because I can feel that critical part basically saying you gotta control this explaining part more. Like, you know, what do you sound like being somebody who's supposed to be like leading people in charge of certain people, and you're constantly trying to explain yourself? It's because you're not sure of yourself, and it's like all that self-doubt starts to come in. So I can feel that polarization already happening. The critical part is like picking out different parts and sort of pointing out their flaws.
Yeah. Makes sense.
But yeah.
Well, I
have parts that are very happy though, because I guess it's different now in the sense that before any of this IFS stuff, it would feel like that critical part was lobbing those criticisms at me, and it was like me as a whole. But now, I have enough self-energy that I can have the awareness to know that, okay, this critical part is pointing out the flaws of different parts of me, but it's not me. It's different parts.
That's huge. Sometimes I think if that's all we accomplish with IFS, like, great, just that paradigm shift of, okay, these are parts fighting with parts.
Yeah, that sense of pride is coming back now. Just an even. Yeah, you're right. That is such a huge thing with IFS. If there was anything that I could give other people from IFS, just like put it into their brain, it's just like realize that it's different parts of you. It's not you.
Yeah, that's the fundamental paradigm that's so different from everything. So we could work with any of those parts, or if there's something else. I know that you were eager to talk more before you got your promotion. So if there's other parts that you wanted to try to visit then.
No, the way I can feel, the direction I can feel this going is, what I want to do is, I'm going to ask that prideful part to, as much as I love feeling its emotions, I'm going to ask it to step to the side for a little bit. I want to spend some time with the critical part, because I've had a lot of sessions where parts have pointed at that critical part. And that critical part does a lot of pointing back. And so I feel like that part really deserves some time with me.
Great.
Because I can sense some confusion from it right now. Because it doesn't necessarily agree. He doesn't necessarily, that part is it's a guy. And he doesn't agree with the idea that it's different parts of me. It feels like it is me.
Right. Yeah. Okay. And so where do you notice that part physically?
I don't feel the part in my body necessarily, but one thing I am noticing is like I have my right hand placed over my chest, like almost kind of like when you do the Pledge of Allegiance, but a little higher than my heart and like more central. So I guess like maybe 2 inches up from my sternum. It's just like where it feels natural to place my hand when I'm talking about that part.
Okay. And how are you feeling towards the part?
I mean, there's a lot of curiosity.
Yeah.
just, yeah, there's curiosity, just why it feels the need to point out everybody else's flaws.
Mm. Okay. Well, yeah, if you feel like you're feeling curious, you have that level of self energy high enough, then you can start asking it. Start asking it, what it wants you to know about itself or its position.
We just shared a laugh a little bit because there's definitely an image of there's been an image of a gavel in my mind. I guess it's easy to just think judgmental judge, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And when I asked that question, why does he feel the need to point out everybody else's flaws? The gavel in my mind, that image, it kind of turned into a shield. So I feel that message as that answer of, well, it's to protect you. And we laughed because right away I felt, I guess I can feel the explainer part, just like popping up and saying, see, you're not that different from me. That's kind of in a condescending way. And yeah, that was kind of funny.
Okay. All right. Well, that's good. I mean, you're moving quickly to get right to that appreciation to some degree of its protective role. So you could just ask more about that, like how long it's been doing that, or if it likes doing that.
It's been doing it for as long as it can remember. Seems like a pretty powerful, of course, answer for my parts, as long as they can remember.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't necessarily enjoy it. It doesn't hate the job either, though.
Mm-hmm.
The only part of the job that he really hates is that, because I guess who was the first person that was critical of you? And that it's my mom.
Okay.
And so he doesn't like that part, that he has to protect me from that.
Yeah. So that was a question that you asked, the part you were asking who was critical?
Well, when I asked how long, that's what just came.
Yeah.
It's just the memories of being young and always feeling like I was getting yelled at for things that weren't my fault.
Yeah.
And it wasn't my fault. And so that was some of the only defense I really had. It's not my fault, but nobody's going to believe me. Well, then something must be wrong with all of you people, because I'm smarter than all of you anyway.
Mm-hmm.
And I can feel some of its criticisms. That was one right there.
Yeah. Yeah. I can see how that's linked to an explainer part too, where if you can't convince them of that, then you're on your own.
Yeah. Mm.
do you get a specific like age when this part's showing you about protecting you from the criticism of your mother, for example? Do you see like an age that it's doing that in?
I mean, it's definitely, it starts at like young elementary school, me, first grade, second grade type thing, but I mean, the images throughout, all the way through high school come, it's just like just kind of feels like a constant.
Yeah.
And I can tell this part needs reassurance that I don't disapprove of him or hate him because he knows how much I feel the need to protect my mom. So he feels like if I know that he is if I feel like he's against my mom, then that means I won't like him.
Okay. I would just venture that may be also a part, the part that needs to protect your mom. Possible.
No, it's very much a reality. I know that's a part. I have a pretty straightforward story.
Mm-hmm.
Fatherly abandonment, motherly enmeshment.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, it's a lot to
I know
carry.
that part definitely exists. And I guess for the first time, I can feel all my other parts are, maybe not all of them, but so many of them are afraid of the judgmental part, the critical part. Now I can feel that critical part's fear because it doesn't want to be judged for protecting me.
Yeah, you talked about reassuring it. And I'm wondering if you can do one better and just really show it some appreciation for its intention.
Yeah. I'm so happy I have that part.
Yeah, it's great. And you're able to show it that. And I mean, how do you feel like you're being with it now?
Well, that hand placed over my chest turned into me hugging myself with one hand.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I guess that explains it.
Mm-hmm.
All of my parts will always be welcome.
Yeah, you could learn more about what this part protects. If it has more that it wants to show you about what it's afraid would happen. For example, if it didn't do that inner criticizing.
It has to protect me from being a bad person.
Just by criticizing, then it corrects the behavior that would make you a bad person if you were to do it. That's what it's saying.
Yeah. That if certain parts of me get too big, I'll forget about everybody, and I'll just be selfish.
Yeah.
I guess I'm like a lot of kids whose dad just abandoned them. I can remember telling my mom that I would. I remember telling my mom. I remember promising myself that I would be a better man than he was. And so much of my life became wrapped up in that. And how can I be that if I have these parts that, if they were just allowed to run amok, would just embody all of his selfishness?
Yeah.
So he wants to keep those parts. He wants to make sure. He's afraid of being judged for being against my mom, but he doesn't want me to forget about it.
Mm-hmm. Does that all make sense to you?
Yeah, it does.
This might be a dumb question, or maybe you don't want to share the answer or anything, but I would maybe look even more at kind of what's the fear behind that? What's the fear behind, for this part, around, for example, if you were selfish, you know?
All I get is a feeling of finality.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. That's just it. I don't know. It sounds ridiculous to say, but it just feels like I'm like that. Yeah, everything's over. Nothing really matters.
Mm-hmm.
I may as well just die. I may die.
Mm-hmm.
And that sounds ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, well, it makes sense to me to have that feeling of a fear that's like a fear of death, for being judged, especially at that young age. You got one parent who, if you're not in the good graces of, then that could be pretty terrifying.
Yeah. There's a part of me that's reminding me of how good of a kid I was. It's reminding me of how it was so common for people to be amazed at how polite and well-mannered and all those things that I was. That part just feels like, that's ridiculous. You were nowhere near any of that happening. Then, obviously, I don't know. I mean, I guess I'm just able to repress some of those fears, or I have been able to repress some of those fears really well because they're obviously there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this judgmental part has been dealing with a lot of that all by himself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a lot to carry. It's a lot to handle.
Yeah. Yeah, he said he's tired.
What would he rather be doing if he didn't have to do that job anymore?
For him, it's just too, it feels like a lot to imagine. Right now, he feels like he would just put down a lot of his weapons and just relax and just figure it out later. He doesn't really care. He just feels like he would put down everything and relax.
Mm-hmm. And how old does he think that you are?
Eight.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Early elementary. Great. So you can just update him on your real age.
And he's pretty flabbergasted about it.
Yeah. And update him on your work in IFS and how much you look forward to working with parts and helping the young ones. And I like to think that it's not about getting all the parts to get along with each other, but at least to get along with you and to trust you.
Mm. Yeah, he feels like this is a lot to digest.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like he feels like he has been alone this entire time. And it's a little difficult to accept that.
Yeah.
He has brothers and sisters.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's a process, of course,
I guess I just asked him who did he think he was criticizing if he thought he was alone. And little response is just a shrug of the shoulders, and I don't know. Like I just was doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. It worked. It worked at the time when it came about and kept you safe, kept you able to go on without the fear.
Yeah, no real rhyme or reason, just this is what needed to be done. I guess in a way he looked at all these internal forces as external forces.
Sure. I mean, it's all an internalizing of. I think it starts with largely external forces. You have the fear around abandonment. You have the fear around the judgment of others, and all your parts get stirred up around that. And then the infighting starts because they're all trying to handle it different ways. And it just kind of continues. It just kind of, one traumatic event, or it doesn't even, it can be any event really, can kind of set us off and have our parts bouncing off each other for years. So, what does he need from you going forward?
He needs time. He wants time with me.
Mm-hmm.
He wants time to relax. He feels like maybe after he's had enough time to relax, he can go back to doing what he does best. But I guess he feels like, instead of being critical, he wants to. I guess he almost wants to be a coach.
Yeah, use that discernment outwards and help in guiding.
Yeah, but he really wants time before that.
Yeah. Is there anything specific that he wants in that time with you?
No,
yeah.
nothing specific. If the time is spent, then anything will come.
Yeah. Yeah.
But right now, just a feeling of please spend time with me.
Yeah.
It's really not much different than a lot of other parts.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Please spend time with me. Don't forget about me.
Mm-hmm.
Don't abandon me again. All of these parts just feel like they've been abandoned at some point.
Yeah.
I guess in ways they were.
Yeah. There wasn't enough self energy at the time, or the external threats were too large for them to stay in connection with self. It's the natural way of it. And when this part asks for time with you, I'm just curious what your process is like for that. Like, do you make a note of that, and then you said you have like a daily practice, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I do morning check-ins.
Mm-hmm.
I try to talk to my parts throughout the day.
Yeah.
I find that's really, besides having dedicated time like this, where you really dive deep inside, just trying to be mindful of all the triggers that happen throughout the day.
Yep. Yeah, that's where I am. Do my daily practice, try to check in when triggers come up, and get help to go deep. That's as much as I know to do. It's working out great for me.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm starting to try to write down at least like a part and short description of it. I guess that's part of what me trying to make good with the explainer part.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And, you might find there's 40 parts in there, and it's just makes sense to keep an index. Because even if you have a daily practice of checking in with a couple at a time, it's really easy to kind of forget how big the family can be, who you haven't heard from in a while. Was there anything else you want to ask of this part, or commit to this part, or learn about it while you have its attention?
I just want to thank him for all of his hard work.
Yeah.
Promise that I'll be back. We'll sit down.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, any other parts that have any questions or concerns?
Oh.
You're doing great. I'm really glad you booked me today. I got to talk with you today.
Me too.
Cool.
I enjoy these a lot.
Me too. My favorite thing. Let's do it again sometime.
Trust me, we will.
Great, man.
Until next time.
Have a good rest of your day.
Same to you.
All right, bye.
Do you want to help bring more self-energy to the world? If you'd like to participate in calls or help out with this project in any way, I'd love to hear your ideas. Join the Discord server or contact me at james@liveifs.com. A huge thanks to our audio engineer, Yvonne, for your care and diligence in editing the calls. To every caller for your courage in sharing some of your parts. And to anyone out there getting to know their internal system, keep going. Who knows, that might be the most selfless, helpful thing you can do for others, and you're the only one who can do it. If you'd like to see us reach the largest audience, we must please the almighty suggestion algorithms at iTunes and YouTube, and they don't care about the power of IFS. They're looking for likes and shares and comments, and the sooner the better. Follow the links in the show notes right here in your podcast player to make your wishes known. And now, a minute of meditation. Or if you prefer, pull over. You can do it in 60 seconds. Just click one of those links. They're right there, and give us a like or a 5-star rating. It would really help. If you think this project is helping people, you're helping people by sharing it. Thank you.